Some interesting news in regards to the future of the Alien franchise has emerged recently. You always seem to need to be on your toes if you're an Alien fan, because the narrative of where the series is going always seems to change. After Alien Covenant underperformed at the box office, it wasn't entirely clear if the series would be continuing as is, but things seem to be back on track now, and we're starting to hear a little bit more of what to expect from the next entry. On the Empire podcast, Ridley Scott gave some hints about the direction of the story, revealing the following. I think the evolution of the alien himself is nearly over, but what I was trying to do was transcend and move to another story which would be taken over by A.I.s. The world that the AI might create as a leader if he finds himself on a new planet. We have actually quite a big layout for the next one. Many have been quick to interpret this as the next Alien film will bring focus to the David character instead of the alien, which is a fair enough interpretation, though it's hardly a solid, tangible plot outline. And it's a quote that's true enough to Scott's teasing nature. I wouldn't necessarily take it as meaning the xenomorph will be nixed entirely from the story, but I'll bet the third film of this prequel series will be more along the lines of Prometheus than Alien Covenant. I'm perfectly fine with that, and as you can probably tell by the subjects I focus on in my videos, I'm really fascinated by the artificial intelligence seen in the Alien series, and to have an entire film by Ridley Scott focusing on that aspect sounds like a dream to me. But admittedly, I'm in the camp that has been really enjoying the directions that Scott has been taking this series, and sometimes it can be a lonely camp. The trajectory of the series, beginning with the story offered in Prometheus, has been a turbulent and tricky one, and something I don't think Scott quite anticipated when it came to fan reaction. I, for one, love Prometheus, and I liked Alien Covenant quite a bit actually, but I felt like it was sort of a step backwards. With Prometheus, Scott was more intent on doing his own thing. For what it's worth, he was very upfront when it came to its continuity in the series as a whole. He always maintained in interviews that it wasn't really an Alien prequel, but it exists in the same universe. When the film was released and faced some backlash, one of the major complaints was that it wasn't enough like Alien, and didn't lead into the story of the 1979 original film enough. Even though that wasn't really the intention. So with Alien Covenant, things got very alien-centric. Alien is right in the title. The alien is most definitely in the movie. It graced just about every advertisement you could think of, and was very prominent in them. There was no mistake about it. Prometheus' sequel was 100% an Alien movie. Still, as to be expected, there was fan backlash. Many complaints, I feel, had to do with the intermingling of David, the android, and the creation of the alien. For everything accomplished in those two movies, we're still not much closer to bridging the gap between the new series and the old, which I can understand may be frustrating to some fans. I'm certainly not saying continuity is the only complaint people have had with the two prequels. There are many different issues many different people had with them, but the continuity complaints seem to really stick out and keep coming up from what I've seen. I do get a lot of comments on this channel and a lot of input about Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Some constructive and very reasonable and understandable, while other comments, not so much, to put it kindly, and I hope you don't kiss your mothers with those mouths. But there are many different issues and areas of improvement for the series from many different angles. In a promotional interview for Covenant, I remember Scott saying something along the lines of making this new movie was a lot like getting a rock band together and playing all the hits. I think that's an interesting and telling comment, both about Scott and the fan base. Prometheus gave us some great new things, but it can hardly compare with the classic we love so much. Alien Covenant brought back a lot of signatures from the franchise, the eggs, the facehuggers, the snarling alien beast, because that's what the crowd wanted, the hits, and I felt a lot of reluctance in this appeasement. It did feel like a compromise to the story Scott may have originally wanted to tell, and he had his team work in the xenomorph aspect as much as possible. And having watched Covenant over a few times now, I feel as if once the alien is born and grows into the iconic alien creature we all know, it's like someone completely different directed the last act of the movie. The pace was inconsistent, it felt very rushed. It was almost as if the studio had to twist Scott's arm a little bit to get him to throw in some alien carnage at the end. Maybe his heart just wasn't in it. That's no good for Ridley Scott, and that's no good for us the fans. Nobody really wins with that. If his heart really is in this next story, I think it will show. As an audience member, I'd rather watch a film where the storyteller tells the story he wants to, instead of building it out of compromises. If that means giving a backseat to the alien, that's fine. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities to see it with future movies, and if David and his world becomes the driving focus, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think most people would agree that for all the faults of the prequel series, David and Michael Fassbender's performance has been the highlight. With all the bumps along the way, I'm very eager to see where the story finally takes him. How about you? Would you be interested in seeing the next movie with David as the focus and no aliens? Or do you feel it's time to scrap everything Scott has done and just start anew? After Covenant, I know a lot of people have felt that way, but after hearing this intention with the next movie, do you feel the same? And how exactly do you interpret Scott's comments about the aliens' evolution being nearly over? It's tricky wording, and who knows what's in store, but please comment below and share your thoughts with me. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. You can also catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow at alien_theory on Twitter and at alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.